And he just has this perfectly sad dad face. Yeah, it's like he just looks like this as he's clapping. Just dead inside. I've seen it before. I see with him go up his ass. It went up my ass. Nah, that's where it went. Hello, and thank you for checking out the video. I just want to let you know that I not only create content on my YouTube channel, Class in the Glass, but I'm also on Twitch, where I review movies, cartoons, and TV shows live, while also playing single-player games and multiplayer games. I also have a Patreon where subscribers have access to hundreds of video and audio commentaries for films and cartoons, as well as podcasts and videocasts. In the meantime, thank you again for watching. Enjoy the video. We're going to go ahead and jump into my review for Butt Boy. Now, this was a winner of a previous poll many years ago. Nia Brownie had suggested this movie, and I'm like, oh, Butt Boy, what is this? What is this ridiculous, over-the-top movie going to be about? I mean, for those who don't know, I'll read you the general description of the movie, Chad. It focuses on this detective who, after going to AA meetings because of his alcoholism, he learns that his sponsor, Chip Gluskell, I believe. What a name, Chad. Chip Gluskell. He becomes the main suspect in his investigation of a missing child. And he also then believes that Chip, Mr. Gluskell, Chad, has been inserting inanimate objects, animals, pets, children, and people up his butthole because it provides him with unimaginable pleasure. And that's the movie. And that's pretty much the movie, Chad. Alex Manal, good to have you here. Hope you're doing well. You're going to edit this movie. You're going to edit all of this, everything you see before you. Now, listen, I thought, okay, going this is going to be over the top. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be like so stupid. It's probably it's so bad that it'll end up being funny. And the crazy thing about this is, Chad, is that it's actually a well-directed, well-written, pretty surprisingly good movie. I couldn't believe it. Like, watching this, I'm like, all right, here we go. The thing is, yes, the main character, he does indeed shove things up his butt. People, objects, everything, and this detective's trying to figure out this missing child's case, but it's actually like really well told and really well shot, and I was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. And it came out in the year 2019, which what did I say? I said 2019 is one of the greatest years for film ever. In the last 3 years, for as long as I've been on this planet, for me, 2019 is probably the best year for film ever. It was so goddamn good. So many amazing movies. And I have to say, if I had saw Butt Boy in 2019, I would have been like, Butt Boy is one of those really good movies that came out this year. I can't believe I'm saying it. So before I get into nitty-gritty details, I got to thank Nia Brownie. Thank you so much, Nia, for suggesting this film. Edgy, thank you for the 100 biddies. He's a reverse Kirby. Yes, he literally, I'll tell you what, he literally is able, at one point, his butthole does evolve, and he's able to, like suck in air via his ass and able to trap objects and people inside of his rectum and colon. That's correct. That is what happens. Yes. But I gotta thank Nia Brownie for suggesting this. I never would have thought I would say that. But I do. I have to thank her for forcing me to watch Butt Boy and to then review it on stream. So thank you again, Nia Brownie. But yeah, before we go ahead and get into more details about this film, directed by Tyler Cornack, who does indeed, not only does he direct it and write it, he also stars the titular character Butt Boy in it as good old Chip Gluskell. But before I go in and share, the nitty-gritty details of the film, I have to ask you a very important question. That question being, how many of you have seen 2019's surprisingly well-made Butt Boy? I'm very curious about that, chat. Very curious. I don't know. You have you seen? Wait a minute. Now, are you telling me you've never seen this? Are you kidding me? Oh, no. Always mad. Nope. Cat's face. Sadly, no. Berserker. I didn't know it existed. Hamilberg says no. Who else been here? Who was popping in? Lipstick Lizzie! Well, this will be the Finn to listen to while I wash my hair. Because great with breaking down. Thank you, Lipstick Lizzie. I'm going to break this down. Believe me. I'm gonna get in that crack. I'm going to get up that butt. And we're going to go up there. We're going to pull out all the details. No doubt about it. All them dingleberry details, Chad. And there is many a dingleberry in this movie. Oh, my Lord. Let's see here. Toshiba says, I have not. Looking forward to hearing about this. Ebony, first time hearing about it. Trailers, nope. So Dil Murray only heard about it. Wow, chat. So you guys have never seen this incredibly well-made film, 2019's Butt Boy. Wait, Naya. I have to ask you seriously, have you actually watched this movie or no? Did you just ignore once again? What do you mean ignore once again? You said no. I have. Okay, you have. Okay. I missed it. I missed what you said. I had to be sure. Is Holly's gone. She's unfollowed me, unsubscribed, all that. She's like, I can't do this. She just left. She's like, nope, not gonna do it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ban him from my streams right now so he never raids me again. Oh my Lord, Chad. What are you gonna do? Holly's great. You should check out her streams though. But now, my friends, let's get into the nitty-gritty details. Let's get into the dingleberry little poopy details of my scene-by-scene breakdown of 2019's Butt Boy. Chat, we start in a very depressing office space-esque environment. We're introduced to these employees who are part of this generic computer company, whatever, tech company called RTM. I don't know what it stands for. They don't even know what it stands for, chat. They deal with computers. We meet the middle manager type who is overeager about his job. And his whole life is defined by his job. He has really terrible facial hair. He has an ill-fitting outfit, but he's just passionate about RTM. And apparently they're celebrating because one of the corporate workers there, Mr. Lee, good old Andrew Lee, whatever the hell his name is, shit, doesn't matter. He's getting a promotion, and before, he gets that $100 increase to his salary every month, they want to do a little good old-fashioned beatbox session, chat, to, drum up support for him. So they all go, Andrew's so cool. Mr. Lee, he's got that new job, and we're so happy. That's pretty much what they do. And we just spin around the room, and we see the rest of the employees are kind of into it. But then we end up on this last guy, and he just has this perfectly sad dad face. It's he just looks like this as he's clapping, just dead inside. I've seen it before. Where'd it go? Up his ass. It went up my ass. Nah, that's where it went. But we see this one guy, and this man is Chip Gutchell, Chad. Good old Chip. What a fucking name, Chip Gutchell. And he's in a job that he despises. Every day, he's at his computer doing tech services, all that stuff. And he stares at his fucking clock until it finally hits 5. He goes home, Chad, where he goes back to his sad life with his wife, who's constantly talking on the phone, probably to other guys or her various girlfriends. He goes up to kiss her, and she literally recoils as he approaches her. And he's like, I just wanted to kiss you. She's like, oh, okay, well, I'm on the phone right now, so none of that. I have dinner on the table. And he's like, okay. And so he goes and sits down. They have a young son that she just had a kid, chat. And, it's just the saddest looking meal ever. It looks like some microwave Salisbury steak with some Kraft mac and cheese and maybe some carrots or something, and he's just eating this shit while the wife is playing with their newborn baby, and she's reminding her husband Chip that you need to go to the doctors. You have that doctor's appointment tomorrow. And he's like, I know, I remember. And she starts talking. Baby's like, yeah, Daddy's gonna get his prostate checked. Daddy's gonna get some fingers up his butt. Isn't that funny? Huh? And he's like, yeah, it's so funny. And he goes to bed just sad and miserable. It goes the next day to the doctor's office where he's just sitting there in the room, just so miserable, reading a magazine, barely even reading the article itself. Gets a call, Chip Gutchell, the doctor will see you now. He's like, I'm Chip Gutchell. Walks into the examination room. The doctor is just up on his ass, chat. Just so close, right here, nearly touching each other's nose, and the doctor just goes, like, I think the doctor might get into it. And he's like, assume the position. And guy's like, oh, okay. And so Chip, and the guy is like, the doctor doesn't move to give him any space to back up, like nothing. Like his butt is literally just brushing the doctor's waist, chat, the groin area, brushing right against that waist. But he turns around, he's like, so what do I do? Do I lift? And the doctor just like, and he fucking pushes his back down. And he takes out the gloves, and you just hear the plastic snapping against the hands and everything. And then he's like, okay, so just you're gonna tell me when, right? And the doctor goes, now, and he goes, oh, and he sticks his fingers right up Chip's ass, Chad. It is hard. He didn't do a 3, he didn't like, okay, here I go. It was just like immediate. And the doctor is like, and Chip is getting off to it, Chad. He's like, oh, he's loving it. It's like a whole new world has opened up to him, chat, by having this doctor stick his fingers up his asshole. All right, he's like, oh my Lord. And then the next day, we see Chip having sad dad sex with his wife. The wife is literally just sitting there, just laying there. You remember in House of the Dragon, Chad, the one episode when Viserys was having sex with Queen Alicent? Same exact expression, just like, just let me know when you're done. But the thing is, though, Chad, what would get him going is if his wife would stick her fingers up his butt. And so he keeps grabbing her hand and just telling her, like, just stick it in my ass, just stick it up there. She's like, no, Chip, no. He's like, just please, just do it. It'll make me feel good. And she stops. She's like, I'm not into this kind of thing. I'm not into this butt play, Chip. And he gets very sad. And so then she starts folding laundry. He goes and takes a really sad dad shower, Chad. He's just in the shower, just looking like this, just absolutely dead inside. But he sees this bar of soap. He sees this single bar of soap. He's like, and he grabs the bar of soap, chat, and he shoves the entire thing up his asshole. He's like, oh, and he collapses onto the fucking shower floor, chat. He's just a complete erotic, orgasmic bliss at having this large soap bar just shoved right up his asshole. He's like, oh, it's the greatest thing ever. And then he's kind of he has like a bit of a new lease on life. Like he sees the world a little bit differently. It's like for the first time in a long time, his life seems just a little bit better, right? And then he starts noticing household objects. He starts noticing the remote. And then we cut the wife one day, is looking for the remote. And she's like, where's the remote, honey? He's like, oh, I don't know. I didn't see it. Because you know where it is, chat? He shoved it up his ass. Next day, good old Chip, he's doing the dishes, chat, with one of them those rough brushes, remember those hard brushes? You get all the food crumbs out and all maybe the plate's been sitting there for a while and they gotten all crusty. You gotta get them crusty crumbs out. And he's like really scraping it, but then he stops. And he looks at the brush, and he sticks it up his ass, Chad. Oh, it goes up there. And then the next day, his wife's like, I'm going to go out tonight. And he's like, oh, okay, with your friends? She goes, yeah, with my friends. She's totally cheating on him, Chad. Totally cheating. Them Brillo pads. Yep. Oh, yeah. That hard Brillo in there. And he's like, okay. And so she leaves. He takes care of the baby. They also happen to have a dog, Chat, named Rocky. Rocky. He's looking like the kind of dog that would feel really good going up one's ass. And so he takes Rocky and shoves Rocky up his ass, shit. Ooh, and then it's like, several days later, they're at the dog park and they're putting up missing posters for Rocky of promise of a reward if anyone finds him. This adorable little puppy, Chad. This adorable little puppy that is now inside the ass of Chip Gutchell. As they're walking around the park, Chip, he has the babies, kissing and things, are putting up posters. But then he notices a young mother with her baby. And he's like, honey, why don't you take our son home? I'll finish up with all these posters. And she's like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, I can do it. It'll be fine. She's like, okay. And so she leaves. She leaves. And then good old Chip, he keeps staring at that young mother and her baby. And he approaches her. And he keeps walking towards her. Then we cut. And he's back at home. He's washing his face. He's watching his face, almost like a look of shock upon his face, chat. And then his wife answers his door, is knocking on the door. His wife comes over, she opens the door, and there's these two police officers, and they're like, hey, we're just going around the neighborhood because apparently a young child has gone missing, and they believe that this baby was taken. And, the wife's like, oh, we were just in the park this morning. Isn't that right, Chip? Chip comes over. He goes, yes, we were over there recently. And they're like, oh, sir, well, did you see anything? Did you see anyone who might have taken this small baby? And he's like, no, didn't see it. Nope. He's like, well, would you mind if you help us? We're doing a community search. It would be great if all the people in this neighborhood could help us find this kid. Maybe he wandered off. And he goes, yeah, of course. And so he goes around the neighborhood, chat, looking for this baby. We know where the baby is, though, chat. We know where the baby is. It's up Chip's ass. That's where it is, chat. And he just has a panic attack in the middle of the search, and he goes home. The wife asks if they found the kid because, she's busy with the newborn. He sees her with the newborn. He's like, ah! And he goes to the backyard, chat. He goes to the backyard. And he's trying to look for something. He's looking for something. But he finds something, and it's the watering hose. And he goes to the back shed, chat. Goes to the back shed, puts the hose over this rafter, ties into a noose, and hangs himself, chat. He hangs himself 9 years later. Time jump 9 years later, chat. And we're introduced to police detective, Russell Fox, chat. He's a hard-nosed detective. And he looks exactly like a detective would, chat. He's got this rough facial hair. He's got this, greasy hair that's all slicked back, chat. He's fucking smoking like a goddamn chimney, chat. But he's recently tried to kick alcohol. It's been very hard for him to stay sober, chat. He's been sober for about a week. And he's recently started going to these AA meetings, chat. So he pulls up to this AA meeting, sits himself down, listens to all these various people chat, and then it's the end of the meeting. And, the main AA guy, the leader of the bunch of the group, which, by the way, they're doing their AA meeting in like a weird fucking abandoned factory, which is a weird location to do an AA meeting, but whatever. I guess it's cheap. They're in Florida, I guess. Some county in Florida. I guess that's the only place they could get, apparently, because the government's not going to help these people. And the guy's like, the main leader's like, hey, you did really good today, Russell. How was he? He's like, yeah, it was okay. It was fine, I'm not used to open up and talk about my feelings. I used to drown my feelings in alcohol, try to drown them, so I don't have to think about them. Like, that's fair. Well, listen, one of the things that I think will really help you is a sponsor. So we're going to introduce you to your sponsor, Chip Gutschel. And Chip Gutschel turns around. He's there, chat. Oh, my God. So Chip Gutschel's still alive. And then we immediately cut. We have a flashback, chat, where Chip Gutschel tried to, hang himself. The thing is, chat, he stuffed his ass so full of people and objects and babies that he was too heavy now. He's like, oh, and he falls down and it rips. It rips, and he suddenly realized, I need to turn my life around. He goes into AA, chat. So he hasn't stuck anything up his ass. He hasn't stuck any inanimate objects, hasn't stuck any animals, hasn't stuck any people up his ass in 9 years, chat, in 9 years. And so he introduces himself to Detective, Russell Fox. And the AA guy's like, hey, listen, one of the great ways to kind of go back and forth or introduce each other or, establish a relationship is like, hey, go get some food, or, go hang out somewhere. Just make sure it's not a bar, haha. So they eventually go to this diner. And they're basically having breakfast for dinner kind of situation. And they both explain, what their jobs are. Russell Fox is like, yeah, I'm a detective. And, Chip is like, oh, of course you are. He's like, what do you mean? Well, you look like a detective. You got the rough facial hair. You got the cool attitude. You got the slick back, greasy hair. He goes, yeah, I suppose I do. Kind of like, the send up of, the noir detective stories that have come out for decades. And he's like, what do you do? What do you do, Chip? And he's like, computers. I do computers. And he's like, oh, very interesting, but it's not very interesting. He doesn't care. And then Detective Fox, he takes out this hot sauce. He's like, the one thing, I've dropped alcohol, but I've started taking this hot sauce. I love this hot sauce. I put it on everything. I can't help myself. He just douses his eggs and his hash browns and his sausages in this very spicy hot sauce. She just puts it everywhere. And he's like, you want some of my hot sauce? And Chip's like, oh, no, if I have any of that, if I put any of that inside me, I'd just explode. He's like, hey, shoot yourself. And then he starts eating everything. And he's like, well, you know what, Chip, this was great meeting you. I really do appreciate this, trying to help me The sponsor said I can call you anytime, Ray. He's like, yeah, I'll respond as often as I possibly can. He's like, hey, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then we then cut. And Chip, he's still a very sad dad. 9 years later, he has a son. He's a little more grown up. He's like 10 years old now. And they're playing like a board game. And he's just really sad about it. He's just not motivated at all. He's just like, I just don't care. Because he misses putting inanimate objects up his asshole. He doesn't get to do that anymore, Chaz. That was the most he ever felt alive. And that was 9 years ago. But he didn't want to kill anyone. He didn't want to kill any more animals and babies by shoving them up his asshole, right? But Russell, he's having kind of like a bad night afterwards. Like, you know, he's getting really anxious and nervous, and he goes and calls Chip, but Chip doesn't answer at all, and he's like right across from a bar, but he chooses not to go to the bar, chat, because Russell Fox, you know, he's a flawed man. He's you know, he's made many mistakes, but he doesn't want to indulge in alcohol anymore. He wants to stay sober, so he leaves. But he's upset that Chip didn't didn't answer like he said he would. We then cut to Chip, who is in bed with his wife, and he's just sitting, he's just unsatisfied. He's just staring up at the wall. He's fidgeting and things, and he just can't stop thinking about this one part in the game. And one part in the game, he was moving this piece around, this blue piece. And he's like, this piece would feel so good if I stuck it up my ass. And so he goes outside, he opens the board game, and he puts it on the table and just stares at it, and he's like, oh my God. Oh, it feels so good if I just put this right up my asshole. Oh, and he's like, no, I gotta stop. I'm better than this. And he walks away, but the camera just focuses on this single piece, this blue piece, chat, that would feel so good if it went up his rectum. And he's like, nah, I can't take it. And he goes over there and he grabs it. He pulls down his pants. He lifts up his cheeks, just shoves that thing right up his ass. And he fell off the wagon, Chad. He fell off the wagon. Not good. We then eventually cut to Detective Russell Fox, and his night's got any better because he's at another home. He's in the backyard of a home, just staring up at this window. He then climbs this tree, and he is looking in, and there's this pregnant woman on the bed. And it's like, oh, does this guy have a pregnant fetish? Is he prego fetish? Is he jerking off? But then this other guy walks in the frame. And then Detective Russell Fox, he starts kind of getting a little weepy, crying. He's like, I gotta go. And he jumps off the tree and he runs away. And he keeps trying to call Chip, like, you know, for days, for weeks. And the thing is, though, Chip, he is just constantly shoving things up his butt. All sorts, like all the board game pieces are missing. He shoves Uno up his butt. He shoves Trouble up his butt. All the checkers, all the chess pieces is going right up his butt chat. Bigger objects, hairbrushes. The wife's like, where's my hairbrush? He's like, I don't know. Maybe you put it somewhere. Just everything's going up there right now. It's like he can't help himself, but he's never felt this good in years, Shed, since 9 years ago when the last time he did is when he shoved that baby up his butt, but he became suicidal over it. Eventually, it's at Chip's work. It's Take Your Child to Work Day, and you know he takes his son, who just doesn't have a good relationship with his son, Chad. You know, he's understood. He tries to and this is how you use the computer. It's like the kid's like, I just kind of want to play hide and seek. He's like, okay, whatever, do whatever you want. And the middle manager, he starts playing hide and seek with all the kids, and you know they're all having a good time in the office. Like, say what you will about the middle manager, he at least he's doing a good job taking care of all those children. But all the kids, like the middle manager, he's like, all right, everybody, I'm gonna count down to 10, 9, 8, and this small little Asian boy hides under Chip's desk, and Chip just looks at him, and the Asian boy looks at him, and they both like make this eye contact, just staring at each other's souls. And Chip's in his mind, you could just tell, he just knows in his very being, chat, that this small little Asian boy would feel so good going up his ass. Eventually we cut, and we see Russell is part of a SWAT team. They're busting these drug dealers. Like, we get in this big fucking massive gun battle, and they take out all these drug dealers that are just like shooting each other, and people are fucking each other. It's like, oh my God, it's absolute chaos. You know, Russell, because of he's dealing with his sobriety, and he wants alcohol. He gets a little rough with one of the drug dealers. Beats the fuck out of him, knocks his goddamn teeth out. And, you know, despite that, you know, the chief, you know, the police chief is like, hey, listen, you did a good job in this case. You busted this, and these these people they were selling drugs to kids, to school kids, Chad, all over the place, but you stopped it, but you're roughing on one of those guys, so we got to take you off of this now. He's like, but sir, I worked on this entire thing, this bus for like 6 months. And he goes, I know that, but it's something really big just came up, okay? And you're the guy I want on this. He's like, what is it? And he's like, I want you to investigate this missing child at RTM. My God, apparently it just happened that afternoon. I need you on this now. We got to get this. And, for whatever reason, Detective Russell Fox, his expression changes. It's like, oh, a missing child? Okay, no, I absolutely, sir. Yeah, he's like, before he was like, I don't want to take off this case. And he's like, no, I want to be on this case now. And so he goes in there. He has this other detective with him. And they start explaining the situation. The RTM, it's a computer company. Apparently, even though the office is monitored at all times with like several cameras, all the footage was deleted. Like, it's been fucking scrubbed. And, just like Fox was like, okay, so it might be one of the employees. I mean, they'd be the only one that have access to those systems. So we're going to have to find out, like, who potentially did. By the way, even though this movie's made in 2019, it definitely feels like a period piece. It feels like it's maybe early 2000s. Some people are like still using floppy disks and shit, and like they're using corded phones. So it's like an aesthetic thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Maybe again, make it like an older feeling movie. But but yeah, he starts interviewing. By the way, the missing child, chat, was the child of the guy that got the promotion in the beginning of the movie, chat. Mr. Lee, his son, Andrew or Andy or whatever his name is, he's the one that's missing. And so he just starts talking to all the various employees if they had anything to do with it, that kind of situation. And eventually, Chip's called in. He's like, oh, surprise, surprise. It's the only way I can get a hold of you, isn't it? When I have to call you in to ask you questions. He's like, hey, listen, man, I'm sorry. It's just I messed up. There's just been a lot of situations at home right now. It's been rough. My wife, she was sick. And he's like, what was she sick with, Chip? Cerebral palsy. He's like, cerebral palsy? He's like, well, they thought it was cerebral palsy, but she was just really stiff. And he's like, oh, okay, that's good. Hey, you're the IT guy right here. He's the IT guy, Chad. So it's like, you would know about like these cameras, the footage getting wiped. And he goes, yeah, but I wasn't in the room at the time, it was horrified. No one knew where anyone was when poor little Andy Lee went missing or got kidnapped. He's like, you think he got kidnapped? Who would want to kidnap him? He's like, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, he's a cute kid. Who would want to hurt a cute kid, right? And he goes, yeah, that'd be a horrible person who would want to hurt a cute kid like that. That'd be a real piece of shit of a human being to hurt that beautiful little kid. And he goes, yep, that'd be quite a person, wouldn't it? And he's like, yeah, well, you can go, Chip. And we see a flashback after the scene where we see Chip went into the camera room and he takes the footage off of the floppy disk and he puts it in his bag, and then he puts in a fresh floppy disk, which has none of the footage, right? And we see him go back to his desk and he puts it in his bag. He puts it in his bag. Eventually, Chip, he goes home, and he's just exhausted. His wife wants to talk to him. He's like, I don't want to hear it right now. I got to go to the bathroom. And the wife starts, like, going through his bag. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing that for? And she's like, you're cheating on me, aren't you? He's like, no, I'm not fucking cheating on you. That's not what's happening. Well, you always go off in these late hours. You don't say where you're going. What the hell is going on, Chip? What the hell is going on? And he admits to her that he's been going to these AA meetings for, Alcoholics Anonymous. She goes, oh, my God. Meanwhile, Detective Russell, he's still at the office because he wants to go to Chip's desk. And so he starts looking through because he has a suspicion that Chip's been doing some stuff, that he kidnapped this kid, that he did something to the poor little Andy Lee. And so he starts going through all of his things. He doesn't find anything, but he notices something. He smells something. And he notices something on the floor, and he puts his gloves on, he gets these little tweezers, and he goes down on the floor, and he picks it up. And it's a dingleberry. It's a big poopy corn nugget of a dingleberry with a little bit of a hair in there. It looks like the hair off of a small Asian boy. And he's like, my God, what is this? And so he starts to suspect that Chip is doing something to these kids. He's like, it's like, why would this be here? Why would the small Asian boy's hair be in Chip's turd, his little turd nugget? And so he bags this and he puts in evidence, right? And so then he starts trailing Chip, and we see one night he's trailing Chip, and we see that Chip is out in front of a pet store. He just bought himself a beautiful little cute kitty, a kitty cat. She had a kitten. Meow, meow. He's like, you're going to be so good up my butt. And so then Fox Russell, he follows him into this alleyway, and he almost gets spotted by Chip, by fucking, Chip Gutchelchet. But he dives down, he doesn't know where he went, and he kind of goes in the direction where he feels like he went. It's like, okay, where would he have gone? And he goes into this underground, becomes like a horror film. He goes into this underground tunnel, chat. It's poorly lit. He's looking at everything, and he comes upon the empty cage with no kitty cat. The kitty cat is gone, chat. But he goes down because he notices something near the cage, and it's another dingleberry with cat hair, and he's like, holy fucking shit. I think he's shoving these things up his ass. And so he goes to his police chief, and the police chief is like, so you're telling me that your AA sponsor, who is a part of this company where this child went missing, is shoving inanimate objects, animals, and children up his ass. And Fox Russell's like, yeah. yeah. He's like, get the fuck out of my office. Prove it, goddammit. So at this point, Fox Russell, he goes back to AA. Who happens to be there that day? Fucking Chip goddamn Gutchell. And Chip Gutchell's like, hey guys, I just want to come here and tell you about what's been going on in my life. I want to apologize to Russell for not being there when he needed me. And everyone's like, oh, we're so sorry, Russell. He goes, yeah, I feel really bad for Russell. It's just that, it's been difficult. I've been having problems with my marriage, and I haven't been truthful with you guys. I never told my wife that I've been coming here because I felt ashamed. And we shouldn't feel shame because of this. It's like we should feel proud that we're addressing our problems and we want to become better people. And everyone's like, oh, no. This is an important step. But fucking Russell's looking at him like, you're a lying piece of shit. I know what you are. You're fucking shoving kids and animals up your asshole. I know what you're about. He's like, he doesn't believe me. He's like, this is bullshit. And everyone like starts, oh, you're so brave, Chip. And Chip's like looking very self-satisfied himself. And Fox is the only one, fucking Detective Fox chat. He knows a fucking liar. He knows an ass stuffer when he sees one. He's like, that guy's shoving kids up his ass. And so then Russell's in his car and he's like, got a drink there, but he doesn't want to take it. But then he jumps because Chip's there. Chip knocks on the window. He has to roll down the window because it's an old car. Yes, it's an old car. He goes, hey, listen, Russell, I just want to apologize for not being there for you at the time, having you stop by the office and all this craziness that's been going on. It's just made me realize that I gotta improve myself, but also be there for people that I should be there for. So my wife asked that you come to dinner because I told her about you, and she would really appreciate it. But just letting you know that the food's gonna be awful because my wife's a terrible cook. And he's like, okay. And he's like, so you want me to come right now to dinner? He's like, yeah, follow me. And they go to his house and they have this little dinner. And, the wife starts asking me all these questions like, oh, well, Fox, you're so handsome. And, Chip starts getting a little jealous at that. He's like, you have to have a lady in your life. You must have like a ton of children. He goes, and Russell, he kind of pauses and he's like, no one right now. I'm married to the job and no kids. But someday I really do want kids. Absolutely. And there's like a sadness in his voice. And then Russell looks at Chip and he goes, oh, but Chip, here's the thing. He's like Tom Cruise over there. Everyone loves him. He's like, no way. No, like they think he's fucking, they think my husband's Tom Cruise. Like he's a big deal, that he's a hero. Oh my God, that's so funny. And Chip starts getting mad. He starts getting so fucking mad at that. And eventually the wife's like, this is so funny. I'm going to go. And she's like drinking wine in front of Russell, which is like, you shouldn't have like alcohol. It's like, I'll make sure you don't have this, you drunkie. Wife's a little obnoxious, but she goes in the kitchen. And Russell and Chip are just sitting there not saying anything, just staring at each other. And eventually, it's the end of the night. And, Chip walks Russell out, and Russell stops to let me. He goes, you know what? I have a long drive ahead. If you don't mind, I want to use your bathroom. I got, the wife's cooking at yours. I got to take a shit. I got to go to the bathroom. He's like, yeah, okay. And so he goes to the bathroom and he sits in the toilet, chat. And, he's mid poop. He's like mid shitting out everything that the wife made. And this is not good. It was not good in the tummy. But for whatever reason, Chip is like really anxious and wants him to get out of the bathroom. And he's like, Chip, listen, man, I'm kind of in the middle of it right here. So I'll be good. I'll get out and say. He's like, okay. Well, you know what? I think you should use the other bathroom now. I mean, can you just stop? He's like, I can't stop mid-turd, dude. I can't do that. And like Chip starts like hitting the door. He starts like elbowing the door again and again and again, like trying to get in. And fucking Russell's like, wait a minute, something's in here, isn't it? And he starts looking through everything and he finds the floppy disk with the footage, chat, the footage of Chip shoving that small Asian boy up his ass. And right when fucking Chip just fucking forces the door down, he breaks in and pulls a Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah, fucking Russell has the fucking floppy disk in hand and his fucking 6-shooter pointing right at fucking Chip, and Chip's like, oh, and the wife like opens there. It's like, is everything going okay out here? Is everything fine? He's like, yeah, honey, the door just jammed. It's okay. And then Russell, he just moves past Chip, and Chip watches him leave, and he's like, I got you, man. I fucking got you. And he takes off in his car. But then Chip, he gets in his car and he starts chasing after Detective Russell Fox. He's like, I got to get that fucking footage of me shoving a small Asian boy up my ass. And so, eventually, Russell's like, you know what, fuck it. I want to confront him on this piece of shit, little piece of shit. And he stops his car like in this abandoned factory district. He stops the car and he gets out. And like Chip is just sitting in this car like this, just watching, just staring at him. And Fox is like, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this, Chip? What are you, man? And fucking Chip, he gets out of his car and he's like, you don't want to know what I am. He's like, you piece of shit, you fucking stuffed that small Asian boy up your ass. And Russell, he throws himself in and he starts beating the shit out of Chip. But then Chip, he rolls him over. He starts beating the shit out of Russell. And they go back and forth. It's fucking chaos, Chip. It's chaos. And eventually, though, Russell, he throws Chip off him and he hits him, he clocks him real fucking good, just boom, like concusses him, kind of damages like the eye socket, all that shit, just bleeding and everything. It's like, ah. And then Russell, he gets back in his car, he's starting his car, but then all of a sudden, Chad, all of this air starts getting like sucked around him. And he's like, he can't breathe. He can't breathe, and like all the things out of his car getting sucked out the window, Chad. It's like a vacuum cleaner. It's like, what's doing it? And he looks in the fucking review mirror, Chad. What does he see? He sees Chip has spread his cheeks and is literally sucking in all the air around him, including the floppy disk with the footage of him stuffing that child up his ass. And he's like, oh! And the car starts moving. He's like, oh, Jesus! And he has to fucking put pedal to the goddamn metal. And he needs to get out of there, Chad, before he's sucked up into Chip's ass. And he's like, holy fucking shit. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Eventually though, we cut from that the almost voring of Detective Russell into Chip's asshole, and Chip is in the hospital with his wife. And we have to make up, the wife's like, well, I don't know why you went outside and you got jumped by these guys. It's dangerous in Florida. There's gators and fucking crackheads everywhere. And he's like, you know what, I'm sorry. And it made me realize that I want to be more dedicated to you and our son. I want to be a better person. That's what I want to do. And she's like, oh my God, Chip, I love you. He's like, I love you too. And then, Russell, he goes to his police chief, who's like, you're fucking crazy, you're fired, you're not even fired, I'm putting you on leave without pay, leave without pay. Eventually, fucking Russell, he's just in his apartment, and he's just jerking off, and he's just drinking, his Tom Collins is his drink of choice, chat, just, a lot of gin, he's a big gin drinker, and he just starts drinking, and then he goes back to the home with the pregnant woman that was at, because that is his ex-wife, who's now with another man. And the other man goes outside to kind of like say like, hey, and it's not even super like aggressive. It's just like, hey man, listen, I don't know if you should be here right now. Do you want me to call someone? Do you want someone to pick you up? And Detective Russell's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And he leaves. And then it's the next morning, and he wakes up, and where he's at, Chad, is he's in front of this grave. He's in front of this grave with this headstone, this gravestone, and he looks at it, Chad, and it's a grave for a baby. It's a grave for a baby. And he's looking at it, and then he's like, wait a minute. Wait wait a minute, because he's putting things together, and he goes back to the police station, the evidence room, and we realize, Chad, we look up all this information. His child, Chad, was stolen from a park years ago, was never found, and his wife was the wife that is now with that other man. And he looks through all the names, the people that were part of that watch party who were there that day, and he sees that Chip fucking Gutchell was in that park that day, and he realizes that Chip Gutchell was the man who stuffed his baby son up his ass. He's like, oh my God. Oh my God, Chad. He's like, oh, this guy destroyed my marriage. He forced me into alcoholism, and he stuffed my newborn son up his ass. I gotta kill him. It was all connected. It's all connected. And so so we cut, and it's the birthday party for Chip's son, and they're doing laser tag and shit and everything, having a great time. Yeah, Chip seems happier. He seems more, dedicated to his wife and his son, and it's a more loving relationship. I mean, that's on full display and everything. But then Russell's like, fuck this bullshit, because he fucking sobers up. He gets this goddamn, but by the way, this movie's very well edited. Oh, and the score, the music of the film is actually quite fucking good, shit. It's really goddamn good. But, he puts on his vest, he goes there, and he goes to the laser tag area, and he starts trying to kill Chip, and Chip is hiding. He's like, oh God. And fucking Russell's like, I know what you did. You fucking killed my son. You put my son up your ass. And he's like, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. Okay, it wasn't me. I swear. Oh, you fucking lied to me. Chip is like, I can't help it, Russell. He felt so good going up my ass. He's like, yeah. And so he shoots him. He shoots Chip in the leg, and Chip he waddles up. He waddles up to the second level. Eventually, Russell, he goes after him, but it's fucking too late, because already fucking Chip has pulled down his pants and has spread his cheeks, and all the air is being sucked into his ass. And Russell's like, no! And slowly, Chet, over time, over a period of maybe several minutes, Detective Russell Fox is sucked up into the asshole of Chip. And you see his face between the cheeks. He's like, no! And then he's in there. And then he's in there, Chad. And he's like, oh! And thing is, Chip has never had that much man in his ass before. It's almost, he's like, oh! He's almost overwhelmed by it, right? But he gets sucked up. And Russell, he comes to, and the environment of Chip's ass is huge. His calf is almost, I don't know if it's a pocket dimension. The rules of logic do not apply here. Of physical matter do not apply. It's just he's literally walking around inside of Chip's asshole. It's covered in feces. It stinks, Chad. It's pulsating constantly because all the meat's everywhere. It's like a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's literally hell. Hell. It's like the Cenobite hell dimension. I would honestly say that Chip Gutchell should absolutely be a Cenobite in the next Hellraiser film that they do. He needs to be in there. I have such sights to show you. I have such assholes to show you. Literally, you're going to go up my asshole. And so he's walking around, and he starts finding all the objects that Chip has ever shoved up his ass, the brushes and the remote and the soap. It's all up there. And he comes upon the small Asian boy who has survived. And he's like, oh my God, little Andy Lee, is that you? He's like, I have such sights to show you. He's relatively normal, He's just covered in feces. And he's like, what's that smell? He's like, you're going to get used to it, but I got to show you. There's others. There's others. And I couldn't fucking, because I'm like, okay, are the people dying in here? Are they aging? They are aging, Chad. The dog walks by, Rocky. He's still in the asshole. He's much older, but he's walking around. I need to take you to someone. And he takes him to this small, feral child, Chad. And you realize, holy shit, this is the son of Fox Russell, chap, but he's 9 years old, but all he's been doing his entire life is just eating feces, and he's just, he's a little poop goblin. He's He's like, oh God, my son. Oh, but he found his son, Chad. He's been living inside of Chip's ass, the entire time. 1 month later, chat, And Chip has like a great life now. Like everyone considers him a hero. He manipulated the events to sound like, he fought off Fox Russell, and he actually didn't, because he sucked him up his ass. But he's going to be getting an award soon. His wife loves him. His son respects him. It's just great. It's just great. He's going in and out, for like medical treatments and things to take care of like physical therapy, like the bullet wound that he had. He got shot in the leg by Fox. One point he's in the hospital and we go, he'll fart. And he's like, for him, it's a little nothing. But when we cut inside of the asshole where Fox and the little Asian boy and Fox's son are, and they're like, oh my God. It's like the fart is like the worst thing. Like if you get near it, it'll like melt your fucking skin off your bones. So don't get near it. It's very dangerous. Eventually, again, his life is great. He goes to work, and, Mr. Lee, he left because he's so sad that he could never find his son. And so he's just like, I gotta go. I just can't do this anymore. And so in this case, actually, no, I'm sorry. Reverse. Chip, he then goes in for his next prostate exam, and, the doctor's, putting her fingers in his ass. And then we cut to Robert Fox, and we cut to the small Asian boy, and then his son, who's a poop goblin, and they're literally now forced to eat feces, I think. I don't know. It looked like feces to me. So they're doing that. But then they hear the fingers moving in Chip's asshole, and they find the location of his asshole. And they're like, oh, okay, so we can now start to force things out of his asshole. That's what we could do. Now we know where the entrance is, or the exit in this case. Then it's like the next day, and Chip, he's at the office, and he's going to be promoted. He's going to get a much higher paying job. He's taking, like, Mr. Lee's place, and everyone, you got the middle managers, like, yeah, let's get a fucking beat going. Bum, 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 bum. And fucking Chip's like, yeah, my life is great. But all of a sudden, he's like, oh, he's got this bubbly gut pain. He's like, oh, I'll be right back, guys. And we see Detective Fox Russell and the kids, they start shoving things out of Chip's butt. And it's horrifically painful for Chip. He's like, oh, my ass. And he poops out the soap and the remote from 9 years ago. He's like, no. And then so for the next several days, his life is just supreme fucking misery as he starts, pooping out the brush. And it's like, it might feel good going in, Chad, but it doesn't feel good coming out. It's like, it's horrific. Like the worst bloody, meaty, corny poops you've ever seen. And then he's like, oh, and one day he literally, because he hears like this, he feels some scratching. He feels like some scratching. He hears something like ripping at his butt. And he's like, and he doesn't front poop, but he poops out Rocky the dog, and he's alive. And he's like, oh my God. Oh my God. He cleans him up one day. He cleans him up, just sprays him down. And then he leaves him in front of his house, and he rings the doorbell. He waddles away. And his wife's like, oh my God, it's Rocky. He's alive. Chip. He's here. He's like, it's Chip. Yeah, I'm Chip. That's Rocky. Woohoo. It's like, holy shit. But now it's, Chip is like had it. He's like, he knows they're inside of him. They know that they're still alive. And so he has to kill him. And so he takes this stomach medicine. I don't know, but it has fucking skull and crossbones on it. So it looks pretty intense. And he just guzzles this down. He just guzzles the dog. I'll do it. And then we cut to the inside of his butt and his colon. And we see that the walls, his pulsating poop walls, start getting like this blue veins and shit and everything. And the little Asian boy, naturally curious, goes up to touch it, and it starts melting him. He's like, and fucking Fox is like, what happened? What's wrong? He's like, it hurts. And sadly, chap, the little Asian, he dies. He dies horribly. It was like, jeez, they killed fucking kids. They killed kids. So he dies. He said, I thought he would make it. I thought he'd make it, Chad. He was very competent. He was doing prayers every night, over their food, which was poop. And he's like, dear God, please get us out of this crappy situation. Pun not intended. Amen. And they would eat, but he died. He dies, Shay. He dies. And at this point, fucking Fox Russell's like, all right, fuck this. I'm done. We gotta do something nuts. And then we cut Chip, he's become really self-confident in everything, but he's become very arrogant. He's kind of sick of his wife at this point. He's like, I want to hear anything you have to fucking say. I'm going to go accept my award for being a hero of Florida. His good old Floridian award, Chad. So he goes to the ceremony where the police chief from earlier is going to give him this award and everything. But Fox Russell, he's like, fuck this bullshit, because he realizes he has one thing on him, Chat, the one thing that could possibly end this poop nightmare, and it's the hot sauce. Remember Chat, in the beginning of the movie when they were having dinner for breakfast, and Detective Fox Russell was pouring this super hot sauce inside, or excuse me, like on his food, and Chip says, no, if that gets inside me, I'll explode. And so what he does is he's like, yeah, you'll fucking explode, motherfucker. And he starts drenching the hot sauce all inside of Chip's, colon. And then that day, Chip, as soon as he gets up to do his speech, he's like, oh, it burns. Oh. And then, this is causing a buildup because of all the irritation. It's causing him wanting to fart at this point. And then Fox Russell, he's like, yeah, fart, you son of a bitch. And he has like this Zippo. He starts kind of flick it, as all this fart is this gas just starts coming towards him until he fucking ignites the Zippo. And then we cut outside of Chip, and he goes, he's like, oh, that's better. And he explodes. He fucking explodes everywhere. Everyone's like, everyone's covered in Chip's meat, Chat. It's everywhere. Everyone's coming in blood, in viscera, and it's like, oh my God. And we see fucking Detective Fox Russell carrying the limp but alive body of his son, who is no longer a poop goblin, Chad. He's just a little savage goblin man now. That's pretty much what he is. But he also has the floppy disk, and he gives it to the police chief, who's in shock because he's covered in Chip's remains of his butt. And he's like, case closed. Boom, and he throws it at him. Case is closed, chief. And he walks out, and he takes his son to the hospital. They check him up. He's fine. He's just, he's had a weird childhood, to say the least. His ex-wife and her husband arrive, and his points is like, our son is that way, your son is that way. And the guy and the other husband's like, oh shit, are you okay? And Russell's like, no, I'm going to go get a drink. And then he leaves, Chat, and walks out the doors into a brighter, less shitty future, Chat. And that, my friends, is my scene by scene breakdown for Butt Boy. A pretty goddamn good movie. If you ask me, it's like, yes, it involves, a person shoving things and creatures and people up his butt, but it was well made. It's like, it's well shot. It's well edited. It's well written. It's pretty much I'm kind of like so surprised about this entire thing. I don't know. I would give it the concept's ridiculous, but it's kind of on the cheap level, especially towards the end. Like, they do some cheap level effects, but I don't know, Chad. I think I'll give it a really, really high matinee. I think it's worth checking out. I think either a high matinee, maybe even low full price. It's good. It's not as bad as you think it is. Yeah, there you go. The Butt Boy. 2019's Butt Boy, Chad. Oh. But I hope you enjoyed the review. Raydam, thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Are you going to recommend it to Corey and Mark? The thing is, I recommend it to them, and they might end up liking it. We could do it for a review, sure. Yeah, I guess we could. I'll recommend it. You recommend it to them. We can all get on it together, Chad. Let's recommend it together. You're welcome, Beach. Thank you, Naya. Heart hands. Thank you. Do it for a review. Yeah, we can do it for a retro review. Not even a retro review, just I don't know. Because I was thinking, this is going to be a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's not a bad film. So I don't even know how they would do it. Oh, my God. But it's pretty cool. Except Boy's cloak from Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. Oh, yeah, because it's like a pocket dimension. Like, his entire body's a pocket dimension. I suppose so, except it's his butthole. I'm horrified. Do a watch along with Corey. That'd be fun. Yeah, Chad, I'll suggest it to him. We'll see what happens. Kurokio Kami, what in the entire fucking fuck? Chat, check this out. You can watch it free with ads on Tubi. You can watch it free with ads on Tubi. It's on Amazon Prime. do yourself a favor and watch this. By the way, it won one of my more recent audio video commentary polls on my Patreon, so I'll be posting that audio video commentary. I think, let me see when that comes out. I think that'll be coming out on the 31st. I'll be on Halloween. Nice little Halloween treat for you, chat. The treat being Butt Boy. Man. Good review, I guess. Thank you. Thank you, Nightwing. Oh, Chip the Black Hole Gutchel. Oh, because, oh, yeah, I got to do Interstellar Super, too. Lives that glisten. Nice job. Just finished washing my hair. Awesome job, sir. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Oh, my God. Now I can remove this. Ah. Oh, it feels so good. Oh, it's so sweaty. It's so sweaty, chat. Whew, my friend. So I'm going to go ahead and get changed because I worked up a sweat talking about Butt Boy, chat. Oh, keep it on. No, Nia, it makes my head all wet. I don't like it. We're gonna switch over to some Gay Clip. We're gonna be playing Little Hope right now, chat. So in the meantime, please entertain yourselves amongst yourselves. Actually, let me go ahead and thank everyone who was coming in with the raids, and if I miss anyone. Thank you, Rated M, for the raid. Thank you, Sinister Cinema, for the raid. Appreciate that. And Leo J89 for the follow. Welcome. I was just in the middle of my Butt Boy review. I was concentrating on talking about a grown man shoving living things, inanimate objects up his ass. My apologies.